Samsy.
Down from the corner house.
Hey, guys.
Just down the block.
We got the hammock hangout.
Man, it really
Gonna finish off the Hammerpond Park Burglary. So, when we left this thing off, the Mr. Watkins had just figured that somebody had tripped their tripwire and they started running through the bushes. He figures they was caught for sure, so he was making a run for it, and he thought he was coming up on his buddy Jim, and we'll see how it goes from there. Mr. Watkins, like all true artists, was a singularly shy man, and he incontinently dropped his folding ladder and began running circumspectly through the shrubbery. He was indistinctively aware of two people hot upon his heels, and he fancied that he distinguished the outline of his assistant in front of him. In another moment, he had vaulted the low stone wall bounding the shrubbery and was in the open park. 2 thuds on the turf followed his own leap. It was a close chase in the darkness through the trees. Mr. Watkins was a loosely built man in good training, and he gained hand over hand upon the hoarsely panting figure in front. Neither spoke, but as Mr. Watkins pulled up alongside, a qualm of awful doubt came over him. The other man turned his head at the same moment and gave an exclamation of surprise. "It's not Jim," thought Mr. Watkins, and simultaneously the stranger flung himself, as it were, at Watkins' knees, and they were forthwith grappling on the ground together. "Lend a hand, Bill," cried the stranger, as the third man came up. And Bill did. No, hang on a second. Grappling, and the third man came up. And Bill did. 2 hands, in fact. And some accentuated feet. The fourth man, presumably Jim, had apparently turned aside and made off in a different direction. At any rate, he did not join the trio. Let's just take a look at these kitties for a second. See who we're talking about here. Oh, there goes Frodo. He's a centerpiece, that Frodo. Oh yeah, okay. I see a couple of the usual characters. All right, let's get back to this story. So they're all bound up. We don't know what's going on just yet. Mr. Watkins' memory of the incidents of the next 2 minutes is extremely vague. He has a dim recollection of having his thumb in the corner of the mouth of the first man and feeling anxious about its safety. And for some seconds at least, he held the head of the gentleman answering to the name of Bill to the ground by the hair. He was also kicked in a great number of different places, apparently by a vast multitude of people. Then the gentleman who was not Bill got his knee below Mr. Watkins' diaphragm and tried to curl him up upon it. When his sensations became less entangled, he was sitting upon the turf, and 8 or 10 men. The night was dark, and he was rather too confused to count, standing round him, apparently waiting for him to recover. He mournfully assumed that he was captured, and he would probably have made some philosophical reflections on the fickleness of fortune. He had not. His internal sensations disinclined him from speech. He noticed very quickly that his wrists were not handcuffed, and then a flask of brandy was put in his hands. This touched him a little. It was such a unexpected kindness. "He's a-comin' around," said a voice which he fancied he recognized as belonging to the Hammerpond second footman. "We got 'em, sir, both of 'em," said the Hammerpond butler, the man who had handed him the flask. "Thanks to you." No one answered this remark, yet he failed to see how it applied to him. "He's fair dazed," said a strange voice. "The villains half murdered him." Mr. Teddy Watkins decided to remain fair dazed until he had a better grasp of the situation. He perceived that two of the black figures round him stood side by side with a dejected air, and there was something in the carriage of their shoulders that suggested to his experienced eye hands that were bound together. In a flash he rose to his position. He emptied the little flask and staggered, obsequious hands assisting him to his feet. There was a sympathetic murmur. "Shake hands, sir, shake hands," said one of the figures near him. "Permit me to introduce myself. I am very greatly indebted to you. It was the jewels of my wife, Lady Aveling, which attracted these scoundrels to the house." "Very glad to make your lordship's acquaintance," said Teddy Watkins. "I presume you saw the rascals making for the shrubbery and dropped down on them." "That's exactly how it happened," said Mr. Watkins. "You should have waited till they got in at the window," said Lord Aveling. "They would get it hotter if they actually committed the burglary. And it was lucky for you, too. Of the policemen were at the gates and followed up the three of you. I doubt if you could have secured the two of them, though it was confoundedly plucky of you all the same." "Yes, I ought to have thought of all that," said Mr. Watkins, "but one can't think of everything." "Certainly not," said Lord Aveling. "I am afraid they have mauled you a little," he added. The party was now moving towards the house. "You walk rather lame. May I offer you my arm?" And instead of entering Hammerpond House by the dressing-room window, Mr. Watkins entered it, slightly intoxicated, and inclined now to cheerfulness again, on the arm of a real live peer, and by the front door. "This," thought Mr. Watkins, "is burglaring in style." The scoundrels, seen by the gaslight, proved to be mere local amateurs unknown to Mr. Watkins, and they were taken down into the pantry and there watched over by the three policemen, two gamekeepers with loaded guns, the butler, an ostler, and a carman, until the dawn allowed of their removal to Hazelhurst Police Station. Mr. Watkins was made much of in the salon. They devoted a sofa to him, and would not hear of a return to the village that night. Lady Aveling was sure he was brilliantly original, and said her idea of Turner was just such another rough, half-inebriated, deep-eyed, brave, and clever man. Someone brought up a remarkable little folding ladder that had been picked up in the shrubbery, and showed him how it was put together. They also described how wires had been found in the shrubbery, evidently placed there to trip up unaware pursuers. It was lucky he had escaped these snares, and they showed him the jewels. Mr. Watkins had the sense not to talk too much, and in any conversational difficulty fell back on his internal pains. At last he was seized with stiffness in the back, and yawning, everyone suddenly awoke to the fact that it was a shame to keep him talking after his affray. So he retired early to his room, the little red room next to Lord Aveling's suite. The dawn found a deserted easel bearing a canvas with a green inscription. in Hammerpond Park, and it found Hammerpond House in commotion. But if the Dawn found Mr. Teddy Watkins and the Aveling diamonds, it did not communicate the information to the police. So there it is. That's the end of it. After all, he got away with it anyway. Well, I don't know. I guess that's something. All right, guys, I guess that's it for this story. I'm not sure what the next one's going to be, but I guess we'll just wrap it up right there. Sam C.